Let's do a recap. In the previous lesson, we did quarter notes, both with the bass and with the melody, thumb and index finger. Let's try this. A measure of each. Bass, 1, 2, 3, 4, then melody. Do the same thing with the open A. We're not putting them together yet. So it's one or the other. And keep your groove. Now with a B bass. And so on. Now if you're listening, you'll notice how the E note sounded okay with the E bass and with the A bass, but with the B bass it didn't sound as strong. We're going to do that again, but when we go to the B bass, you're going to play the second string open, because what note is it? It's a B. Let's try it again. 2 E's. Now the A in the bass, and the E in the melody again. And now the B in the bass, and the B in the bass. See how it solidified what chord should be occurring right there. It's very important. All right, so that was just quarter notes. Now we're going to move into eighth notes. We are playing a shuffle, which means the eighth notes lope. Do you hear what I'm doing? I'm doing a slap bass thing with my thumb. I'd like to teach you how to do this because it's going to be real important for you to be able to play some rhythm stuff and whatnot as you progress in your solo 12-bar blues. Pretend you're holding a golf club, broomstick, whatever, and your thumb's just relaxed and extended forward. You're going to rotate from your elbow. And I want you just to mute the strings with your fretting hand. Go. Not hard, just do it light. You sort of bounce off and just get to where you can do it. You get that groove, because that's going to be your percussive tool that will stick in various spots. You're going to have a lot of options. You could replace a bass note with a slap. Listen to this with quarter notes. Because that coincides with the backbeat, which is beats 2 and 4. Now with the open A. So there's a little tutorial on your bass notes with your slap and then the beat. Right away, do you sense how it makes you want to clap along? Okay, so those are the quarter notes. We've covered them, and I've shown you something new for the quarter notes. When we play the eighth notes, you're going to do like this. Notice that it's da, da, da. Say that with me. Da, 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 da. So you're saying da, D-A, and then dot, D-A-T, but you're saying it very softly. Da, 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 da. It's like you bounce off the dot. Do the same thing with your thumb. Go. Do it very slowly. There's your... See what happens if I play them both the same volume, there's no heartbeat. Get that going so you have a little heartbeat there. So we're slapping, we're not plucking, are we? Do you see how I could put in a couple of eighth notes wherever I want, just playing the slap? You have to mute the strings. Now the challenge there is if you do the slap, you got to come right back in on a bass note, or see, I'm getting something going already. I don't need the drums because I've got the drums here. 1, 2, let 3, 4. Now when you look at the chart, you'll see that the eighth notes are written out, and the count for them is 1, let 2, let 3, let 4, let. That'll be a little clearer when we discuss triplets. But for now, just hear that da, 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 da. Use your ears. Let's play ringing notes. Do it along with the track. Open E. Now, if I do nothing but eighth notes, it gets a little boring, so I'm going to mix it up. But my quarter notes are always occurring. You're tapping your foot and you're sprinkling the eighth notes. Do you hear how already mixing up quarter notes, both ringing and slap, and then the eighth notes, both ringing and slap? I have some new tools, so it sounds pretty percussive. It's almost like a drum kit. And so on. And you can get, like I said, a little trashy with it. I'm not going to because I don't want to rip up my nails, but have some fun. You can do some cool things there. I do want to teach you something called a pop. Put your wrist against the bridge, reach under the string, and pop it up so it rattles against the fingerboard. So you're getting under there and you're using your thumb. Same kind of thing you do when you play slap bass with your index finger. Now I've got a little bit of dynamic content. You see what I can do? It's like I'm not just speaking like a robot. I've got dynamics in what I'm singing or playing or speaking about. Let's look at the treble with these eighth notes. Shuffle eighth notes. We're just pogo sticking, meaning the index finger's just going over and over again playing the notes. Now I can do that same pop thing. I get under, pop the string so it rattles. This is what can really annihilate a nail real quick. So there, I'm mixing it up. We're going to do some of that in the future, but what you want to do is practice playing either the bass with quarters and shuffle eighth notes, or the treble with quarter notes and shuffle eighth notes. And you don't have to play all the time. Watch this. Very simple, but you notice the principle is not to feel compelled that you have to keep playing. Sing what you're playing. Now I'm putting things together. Don't worry, we're going to get a lot of practice in that later on, but I'm just showing you how you don't have to play a whole lot because you're probably feeling like I'm juggling too many balls in the air. It's not that complex. Start like this. Let's slow the tempo down. See how I'm going from one to the other, one to the other. I'm never playing the two of them together. When you finger pick like this, there are only two things that are going to happen. Together or apart, meaning or back and forth. We'll discuss more of that later on, but really it boils down to those two situations. So there you have an overview of the shuffle eighth notes. Spend some time playing against the track and just stay on the E chord, then try playing it with the A bass note and then with the B bass note. So what happens when you play the B bass note? You're going to have to hold the B and it ties your hand up a little bit. So you'll probably want to develop your left hand so you have some independence. I suggest this. Hold the B down with your first finger. Take your little finger and play hammer-ons and pull-offs between the G and the E. Do the same thing on the second string. Do the same thing on the third string. Use your second finger for that and do the same thing on the fourth string. Now if you look, you'll see I'm blocking the strings over here. Don't worry so much about that right now. I'm going to show you some more advanced right hand techniques later on. If it's a little ragged, don't worry about it. We'll clean it up later on. This will get your left hand, and you should do that every day, to where you have some facility. Then you may be like, do doing some pull-offs, hammer-ons, things like it. Now see, that's pretty intricate what I just played, because you heard all this groove. I'm just showing you what you're going to learn in a few minutes.